and waterfalls of aqua. The trees were made of evergreen markers, and the leaves were paper mache. In this world, there was a kingdom full of magic called Crayoleville. King and Queen Paints occupied Crayoleville. They had one daughter who was named Princess Crayola. Princess Crayola had long blonde hair, was made of the finest steel bucket. All the townspeople loved their rulers, all but one. In every kingdom of good, there's evil lurking around. This evil resided in the mountains of Black Haze, with his evil minion named Creation. No one in the kingdom dares to speak his name, or else goosebumps would arise on their fragile wax skin. This evil was no other than Dr. Scissors. Dr. Scissors was part of the royal family that was trusted by being the nanny for Princess Crayola, up until he tried to steal her fortune. He got banished, and he had to live his days in exile. The doctor was upset and vowed revenge on everyone who ever crossed him, even the townspeople who threw old trash paper and pencil shavings at him. Who would stop Dr. Scissors and his evil ways? This is where our adventure begins. On the other side of the kingdom, in the Middlelands, lived a superhero, no other than Pencil Man and his trusted sidekick, Eraser Boy. They lived in a Ticonderoga house filled with posters of their favorite superheroes like Markerman, Inkman, and Paint Dude. Their door was made of oak wood, and the chimney was made of eraser. Pencil Man and Eraser Boy was a beloved icon for the townspeople of Crayoleville. They had it all, but Pencil Man felt he didn't because he wanted to marry Princess Crayola. But King Paints did not want their marriage to work. As Pencil Man was lying around in his hammock, he asked Eraser Boy, "Do you think I would make a great husband for Princess Crayola?" While blowing bubbles, Eraser Boy said, "Sure, Pencil Man, if you were Mr. Bugsaplenty." Getting irritated, Pencil Man said, "That's not very funny." Eraser Boy replying, "Sure it is. Pencil Man, no offense, but you are not royalty or rich whatsoever. I mean, look at our place. For crayon's sake, we don't even have furniture in our living room." After constant arguing about Pencil Man's standing on being a good husband for Princess Crayola, the two superheroes flew away to the castle of Crayola. The castle is usually guarded by King Paint's marker guards. They have weapons of sharpened color pencils and live pencil sharpeners as attack dogs. Ever since Dr. Scissors threatened the kingdom, the king has been on high alert. To be extra cautious, the superheroes disguise themselves as a heavy-duty marker guy by sitting on each other's shoulders. The two bumbling buddies got past the guards by wobbling back and forth in motion, trying to support each other. They got to the royal throne and quickly unmasked their disguises. Queen Paint stood in amazement and wonder. She loved surprises by Pencil Man. King Paints, however, stood in shock and horror. "How dare you two disguise yourselves as guards and waltz in here like you own the place?" Pencil Man was trying to console the king up until a total darkness spread like a blanket across the kingdom. Everything went black, including the candles near the ceilings. Everyone in the palace and village was running in panic, and then a wild shriek was heard in the main corridor. Shaking in fear, Queen Paints asked, "Where is Princess Crayola?" As Eraser Boy was lighting up another candle, everyone was all in shock of the discovery of no princess. Everyone shouted for the princess. Guards were searching in every nook and cranny. Pencil Man was searching hard for clues with his trusty detective gear. Eraser Boy was too busy trying to find his contacts, so he got lost while the lights went out. Then a guard yelled out, "Princess Crayola has been kidnapped!" King Pace was running to the west wing near his daughter's room, only to find a ransom note by her bedside. By the time everyone arrived to her room, King Paints fell down, cursing at the sky, alongside Queen Paints. King Paints got up from the stone ground and proceeded to read the ransom note. His voice sounded angry as he read who captured her for the whole entire kingdom to hear him shout, "It was Dr. Scissors!" Queen Paints fainted from the name Dr. Scissors, and Eraser Boy quivered with fear. "That rapscallion," Pencil Man said in astonishment. "King Paints, Eraser Boy, and I are on the case. We will gladly sacrifice our lives to save your precious daughter from the clutches of Dr. Scissors. We will do everything in our power to bring her back." As he rolled his eyes with the remark, the psychic said, "Will you stop being a negative Nancy? If I rescue the princess, I have no chance to win her over from her folly, you goof," said Pencil Man. Pencilman and Eraser Boy said their goodbyes to the Queen, and the King of Crayolaville flew off the mountains of Black Haze. Pencilman flew with haste as Eraser Boy followed, staggering behind. Then a thought hit Eraser Boy like a flying bullet. He was trying to conjure the thought of the fact they had no weapons to face Dr. Scissors. Got nervous but asked away anyway. "Hey, Pencilman, do you realize our utility belts are back at the house?" Eraser Boy, as asking the question, Pencilman stopped in mid-flight. Scratching his eraser head, he totally forgot himself that the fact that they forgot their magical belts. "Guess we had to fly all the way back home." "Yes, my pudgy little friend, off we go." Meanwhile, back at the Black Haze Mountains, Dr. Scissors was plotting a domination on Crayolaville. His sidekick was right at his points, plotting alongside with him. Creation was Dr. Scissors' pet that he made up from clay, who loved to terrorize the citizens of Crayolaville. Creation was a blob of every color that would swallow you up whole. Dr. Scissors was forming a new formula of ghastly proportions to make Crayolaville into a gray, dismal new world he would call Graytopia. Dr. Scissors wanted to create a world without color or fun. He wanted slaves and monuments built after him, and poor Princess Crayola was helpless in hearing his diabolical talk. "Wait till Pencilman finds out about your plans. You will become rusted after he pours gallons of water on you." "Oh, my pretty little friend, if Pencilman comes, he will soon become ash when I'm through with him. Or even worse, Creation will gobble him up. I'm sure Creation will love Type 2 Ticonderoga." As Dr. Scissors was creating his potion, he needed a way to pour his formula across Crayolaville. He thought long and hard over this dilemma. He could use Creation, but Creation was a mere blob. Then he thought of his pet paper shredder, Hades. He could fly to Crayolaville with the formula and dump it onto the land. Dr. Scissors had a huge sneering grin and set forth his pet for the deed. "My pretty, I have a quest for you." Hades purred and smiled and agreed to the deed. "Yes, master, anything for you." Off the flying shredder went to dump the formula across the land. Dr. Scissors had a crystal ball to keep in check of his pet's progress. He sat his crystal ball, rubbing his ears together in a joyful bliss. He could not wait to hear the shriek of terror across the land, especially when it came to King and Queen. Princess Crayola could stand in horror as she was chained up to the wall. The King and Queen waited desperately for the heroes to retrieve their daughter back from the clutches of Dr. Scissors. King Paints was so sad even the marker jester could not make him crack a smile. Queen Paints, on the other hand, just wept for days at her bedside. The townsfolk could feel the royal family's sadness as well. The townspeople could not work nor sleep because Princess Crayola was the life source of the fair land. She made the sun and moon rise and the grass grow by her sweet nature. As Princess Crayola's parents were arriving to the castle by Hades, our heroes were arriving to the mountains of Black Haze. Pencilman knew the mountains were tough by flying because of the visibility, so Eraser Boy and Pencilman had to climb the mountains by foot. Eraser Boy was not very pleased by this situation. He kept rolling his eyes and saying how women always lead you to trouble. The mountains were steep and 20 feet high from the ground. Rocks and boulders kept falling from the edge of the mountains. Inch by inch, our heroes were getting near to the top of Black Haze. Dr. Scissors was poking a pin needle at King Paints as Creation was splashing colors on Queen Paints. Queen Paints shrieked in horror as her dress was only dry clean only. Those nasty oil paints would never come off her dress. King Paints was in agony as well. The needles were getting poked at his rear end. "Stop this madness, Dr. Scissors," King Paints said in a stern voice. "You can have my kingdom and my fortune. Please just let my family go in peace, I beg of you." "Now that would be too easy," said the doctor. "What do you think, Creation? Would we risk of getting jailed for life in the prison of bad blends of colors for this family?" "I think we should feed them to Creation," said Creation. "I never ate royalty before." Dr. Scissors stood by Creation, and they both stared at each other for a second. Creation fell onto the floor with laughter as Dr. Scissors was trying to contain himself. He even had a tear coming down from his remark. "What, Pencilman?" "An oblivious boy," laughed Dr. Scissors. "I'm so scared I'm shaking with fear. I think my handlers are going to rust." And like speed of lightning, the two figures came crashing out of the dungeon window. A sigh of relief bestowed upon the royal family, like walking on clouds, so to speak. There were cheers and whistles coming from the royal family, and sayings like "way to go" and "kick his cheers." "Pencilman!" said Dr. Scissors in fright. How did you manage to get up on the mountain? It wasn't easy, let me say, said Pencil Man in a confident voice, but a certain eraser helped me out. I'm surprised you can even read, remarked Dr. Scissors. We sure can, Dr. Idiot. I'm hooked on phonics, said Eraser Boy. Shut up, said Pencil Man. You're not helping this argument. There was an uh-oh in the hero's plans, though. Creation was standing guard and opening his mouth to devour Eraser Boy. As Eraser Boy was dashing to the exits, Creation lunged at him and swallowed up him whole. Eraser Boy kept slamming his tiny hands at Creation, trying to escape, but all hope seemed to be lost. Eraser Boy lost consciousness and slid into Creation's stomach. Pencil Man's jaw dropped. Pencil Man punched Dr. Scissors with his entire might against the dungeon wall and locked him with his own chains. Then Pencil Man began to collect water and dipped Dr. Scissors' points in the pool of water. Slowly, for about 5 minutes, his silver points began to rust. Dr. Scissors began to scream in pain and vowed to never harm a living soul again. Pencil Man then stopped and called the police to come and take him away. While waiting for the police, Pencil Man quickly rushed to Eraser Boy's aid. He begged for his safe return in health. He promised to be a better friend and to Eraser Boy he would wake up. He promised Eraser Boy he could call some of the shots from now on as well. Just when Pencil Man got up from his final plea and was proceeding to free from the royal family from the dungeon, a slicing sound was coming from Creation. Creation yelled out in pain as Eraser Boy was emerging from his vile stomach. Eraser Boy, you're alive! Geez, what did I tell you about being so emotional? And they call me your sidekick, said Eraser Boy. The townspeople rejoiced and praised the two heroes for bringing back Princess Crayola. And as promised, King Pinks let the two get married. Do you, Princess Crayola, take Pencil Man to be your husband? I do. Do you, Pencil Man, take Princess Crayola to be your husband? Ditto. By the powers invested in me, you may kiss the bride. They lived happily ever after. Wait, said Eraser Boy. Now what is it, the writer of the story asked. Where's my great ending? God, you're like a nagging wife who's in my imagination, said the writer. I heard that. I might be a figment of your imagination, but I still have feelings, you know. Sorry I hurt your feelings, said the writer. You're quite right, you dork, said Eraser Boy. Of course no harm was done. Now let's go home, said the writer. The writer closes the book and falls asleep on the couch. The end.